Was Joan of Arc really burned for the reason everyone believes? The story people know is always the same. A 19-year-old French peasant girl hears voices from heaven, leads an army, and the church burns her as a heretic. But the record of her trial survives almost complete, and it tells a different story. The court that questioned her for 5 months never managed to convict her for her visions, not even for leading troops dressed as a soldier. In the end, they condemned her for the outfit she was wearing the day they found her back in her cell. She was not burned for listening to God. She was burned for refusing to behave the way a woman was supposedly meant to behave. Chapter 1. The Girl Who Asked No One's Permission. Joan was born in Domremy, a small village in eastern France. At 13, standing in her family's garden, she heard a voice for the first time. Over time, 3 more followed: the Archangel Michael, Catherine of Alexandria, Margaret of Antioch. They told her France needed to be freed from the English, and that she was the one who had to do it. Later, standing before her judges, with her life on the line, she said something few women of her time dared to say out loud. She believed in those voices with the same certainty she believed in the Christian faith. She had never consulted a single bishop, priest, or church authority before she acted on them. Her experience of God was so direct, so entirely her own, that she never felt she needed a man in a robe to confirm it first. That sentence, spoken under interrogation, with her life at stake, might be the most radical part of her entire story, and it is the part almost no one tells. Chapter 2. The War in a Few Words. She convinces a captain to bring her to the future king, Charles. She convinces Charles himself, a man who doubted everyone and everything, to listen to her. She puts on a man's armor and frees the city of Orleans in May 1429. Months later, she stands beside the king as he is crowned in the cathedral at Reims. An illiterate peasant girl changes the course of a war that had already lasted almost 100 years. This part of the story you probably already know, or you will recognize it the moment you hear it. It is not the important part of this video. Chapter 3. The Trial That Could Not Touch Her Faith. She is captured in May 1430, sold to the English, and tried in Rouen from January to May 1431, nearly 5 months of questioning. Before the court even reaches questions of faith, they order an examination to confirm whether she is a virgin. She is. That single result removes the easiest path to convicting a woman in that century, the charge of sexual witchcraft. So the court has to look somewhere else. They ask her 70 different questions about her voices, whether they are truly angels and not demons, how a 19-year-old peasant girl dares to decide on her own what belongs to God and what does not. In one of these sessions, they set her a trap that no trained theologian could answer safely. They ask her whether she is in a state of grace. If she says yes, that is a heretical presumption, because only God can know such a thing. If she says no, she is confessing her own sin. Without hesitation, she answers that if she is not in grace, may God place her there, and if she is, may God keep her so. The notary in the room later wrote that the answer left the examiners stunned. Session after session, for months, she keeps going like this. She answers with a confidence that unsettles men with years of theological training behind them. She does not beg, she does not apologize, she does not give ground. After 70 complete articles of accusation, the court still cannot prove a single true heresy of faith against her, so they start looking somewhere else. Chapter 4. The Trap in Her Clothing. that somewhere else is her clothing. Since she left her village, Joan has worn a man's tunic, hose, and boots. For her, it is both practical and spiritual, a way to protect herself in a military camp and stay true to what her voices asked of her. Under pressure, in a moment of weakness, she signs a confession and promises to wear women's clothing. Days later, she is found again dressed as a man. Several witnesses in the later proceedings suggest it was because of the guards, who would not stop harassing her in her cell while she wore a dress. But the real reason does not matter to the court. What matters is that they can call it a relapse. The 27 judges of the tribunal declare her a relapsed heretic, not for what she believes, but for what she is wearing. On May 30th, 1431, she is burned alive in the market square of Rouen. She is 19 years old. Her final words call on the name of Jesus. Her ashes are thrown into the Seine River, so no one can keep a relic of a heretic. Chapter 5. The Mother Who Would Not Stop. Almost 25 years later, her mother reopens the case. Isabelle Romée is nearly 70 years old when she travels to Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris in 1455 to stand before the judges sent by the Pope and demand a review of her daughter's conviction. She has spent almost a quarter century pushing for this, first with one pope, then another, until finally someone listens. She stands before men with far more power than she will ever hold, and repeats again and again that her daughter grew up in the faith, that she never acted against the church, and that she was condemned cruelly and unjustly. On July 7, 1456, the tribunal declares the original trial void, almost 30 years after the execution, and in large part because an older woman refused to let her daughter's name rest. Chapter 6. What was really on trial? 500 years after that square in Rouen in 1920, the church makes Joan a saint. But if the first tribunal needed a technicality about her clothing to convict her, it is because underneath everything, what they never truly managed to touch was her faith. She was a woman who believed she had direct access to God, without any man confirming it for her first, and she refused, to the very end, to soften that belief to make it easier for anyone else to accept. That was what a court of men was not willing to let stand. 500 years later, that same combination, deep faith and a refusal to ask permission, still makes people uneasy. A woman who trusts her own faith without needing a man to confirm it first. A woman who does not negotiate how she believes to make it easier for others to swallow. Today's fire has no flames, but the cost of not fitting the mold is still there, waiting for the next woman who decides not to kneel to what is expected of her.